for the better part of 2 days. And that's the menstruation, because it's nowhere to be seen. And in ancient times, this was a very, very scary prospect, that the moon could not be seen. Then after a period of about 30-odd hours, a thin slither of light would appear, and that's the moon's crest pointing to the right and waxing. That was a very auspicious moment, that light from the moon, because that would begin a new cycle, and mankind would know that things would continue to go around and around. So they noticed these cycles. Now, the sun is also responsible for the woman's cycles too, because there is a 29-day cycle which comes from the sun too, and it's an electric magnetic cycle where the sun flips over from magnetic to electric every 7 days, and this is where we get our weeks from. All of our cycles come from the orbs in the sky. For instance, the day. Well, what does day mean? In Latin, day comes from the word deus. Deus means God, the God of day. That's the sun. The year comes from the word year, which comes from the word yes, which comes from the word Jes, which is the word Jesus, Jesus, Yeshua to the Hebrews. And Yeshua means the sun in the sky. And so we have Jesus, the yes, which gives us the year. You see, the yearly cycle comes from the sun. The month comes from the moon. Mon comes from moon, etc., etc. Every cycle, when you study the word, you will find that the origin of it comes from the orb, which originates the cycle. And so this is what I'm exposing in my astrotheology videos, the fact that all the characters in the Gospels, all of them, can be found in the sky. In fact, you look at the close associates of Jesus. We have Peter. Now, Peter comes from Jupiter. And if you've studied astrology and astronomy, you will know that Jupiter is the loved one. In the solar system, Jupiter is Zeus, the god of the gods. And Jupiter has beneficent rays. It is the chief among the gods, simply because he represents the ether. His orbit is 12 years. It takes 12 years to orbit. And 12 is the magic number of the dodecahedron, the ether. If you study your Platonic solids, you'll find that the dodecahedron has 12 sides, and that corresponds with ether. You see, so Jupiter is responsible for bringing in the beautiful ethereal energies into the solar system, and he's always beneficent. So there you see him always walking by Jesus' side. Peter is always there. Sometimes he's abrupt. Sometimes Jesus has to censure him, but he is always by the side of the Son, Jesus. John is also close to Jesus, and in the Gospel of John he says, I am always close unto the Lord. I am the one that the Lord loves, and I am never far away from the Lord. Well, John corresponds to Mercury, because Mercury is the closest orb to the Sun. And yes, and its energy is quite different to that of Jupiter. It's quite neutral. You see, Jupiter's energy is very masculine, very male energy, whereas Mercury is a hermaphrodite. He is the Hermes, the Thoth of the Egyptians and the Greeks. And his energy is both male and female, you see, and he is the intellect of the solar system. That's why we have Hermetic wisdom, because Hermetic wisdom comes from a balanced mind. Hermes is basically the mind of God, and it is the Logos. The Logos is also how Jesus is defined in the Gospel of John. is defined as the Logos. You see, it's not hard to find out who Jesus is. It's one of the orbs of the solar system, because the orbs of the solar system, according to the ancients, give us all of the things that we have: our reasoning abilities, our intellect, our love, our passion, our desires. Everything that we have comes from these orbs, which are called the demiurge, the second god, the creator, the formator, the cosmocrator, and the Jews call this god the Elohim. Now, you'll find that they respect Elohim very much. You'll find that El turns up everywhere. Israel, Angel, Gabriel, Michael. We go to a chapel to listen to.
Do you lend credence to the fact that the word Israel comes from Ishtar, Ra, and Elohim? Do you lend credence to that?
Yes, absolutely. It is Isis, Ra, and El. It is a religion which is based on astrotheology. Pure and simple. There is nothing in the Bible, but it's a registry. It's a pure registry of astronomical phenomena. And done in allegory, done in poetic fashion, satire, tragedy. There's many, many different styles in the Bible. But the greatest tragedy of all is that Rome came along, the Julians and then the Flavians, and they counterfeited these beautiful works of literature, which were meant to be understood by the wise, the ones who have eyes to see and ears to hear, and they were meant to be taken as spiritual veiled truths which would benefit only the ready and only the willing and only the ones who were prepared to undertake the assiduous journey of reclaiming dominion and responsibility and taking ownership for themselves of their spirituality and transmutation and growth in order to return to the place whence they came, and that is the causal world. That's our place of return. That is the place where the prodigal son returns. And the prodigal son is all of us. It's a story about us and how we have fallen in love with matter and become incarnated. And the Hermetica teaches that many souls came to this place willingly and many came unwillingly. And you can see this. You can see it clearly. Many people are very tired of being here. Many people are suffering. They've been taken through the courts. Many people are losing their homes, becoming homeless. In every Western country, there's a lot of suffering. It seems that there are more and more wars being generated by this war machine, the Corporation of the Vatican, who needs to, their business is war, basically. They've got services. They have many, many services on offer. And one of those services is war. And in order to engage us in war, they have to start trouble. You see, they invent things that wouldn't otherwise exist, like terrorism.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, through the CIA and through Mossad and all their criminal organizations. They train unevolved people, because you and I, Mel, we would never join anything like the CIA, or we would never be conscripted to go and kill for Halliburton and Blackwater in Iraq. We would never don the uniforms of policemen and army officers and sheriffs and bailiffs and things like that, because we probably know how corrupt these institutions are. Now, of course, there are good people in politics and policemen and etc. that are trying to make a difference. That's granted, but it's the institutions that are corrupt. There may be good judges, and there are good judges, and magistrates. But they are working a system that is absolutely corrupt to the core. It is putrid, absolutely putrid. And this is the system that, if you look around and pay attention, is about to collapse. It will collapse. Once the money dries up, now there's no need to fear that the economy is going to crash, because we need it to crash. We need that Federal Reserve currency to disappear. We need it to, because it is underpinning all of the crooked and evil behaviour that is going on this planet. And once that money dries up, you'll find that peace and security and truth and stability will come to this earth, and it's not far away.
You know, before we proceed, I want to go back to the part of Jesus Christ. Are you saying that the whole story of Jesus Christ was concocted, created by perhaps Julius Caesar in order to control the masses? Is that what it's all about? Because many people say that Jesus Christ really existed, and he was, a good man, and he did so many things, and it was changed by the Romans. But what's your take on this? Is it a creation? Is it being mythologized?
Well, look, it has, the short answer, and I will elaborate. It has been fictionalized. Jesus has been squeezed, if you like, into a historical period. Even though the Nag Hammadi Gospels, which are older than the Roman version, talk about Jesus, even though you can find many hieroglyphs in Egypt which talk about Christ and Jesus. You can find Christs in the Mayan civilization. You can find them everywhere, because what I'm proving is that this Christian religion, as Eusebius and Augustine clearly say in their books, was around forever. There was always a Jesus. In fact, Jesus is the ancient name. Yes, Jesus is the ancient name for the Son. And Christ is also a name for the King in the heavens, the Son. So, but what Rome did is they based JC, Jesus Christ, on the original JC, Julius Caesar.
Right.
Julius Caesar also means Jesus Christ. It's another name for Jesus Christ. Julius is Julius, and Julius is the wheel that the sun makes as it goes around. And Caesar is king, and Kaiser or Tsar,
right.
Caesar, is also another word for Christ, because Christ is king. So what they did, and Mel, is they retrospectively in the